If you want to join in over at the YouTube chat, you can do so at the following link. Let me just grab that real quick. Okay, user LC says that they do not have a webcam. I understand, no problem. All right, so this is the link for the YouTube chat. If for the YouTube stream, if you want to participate over there. This is where you would find it. And to anybody who wants to watch afterwards, you can also go to this YouTube channel and watch the stream if you need to look over the session afterwards. All right. So everybody, today what we're going to do is we're going to hit the ground running and we're going to start solving some Pico CTF challenges. So what we need to do is go over to our Pico CTF over to the Pico CTF website and to log in. So if you want the link to the challenge that we're doing, let me just grab that link. So we're going to be doing the web decode challenge. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so I'll provide the link to everybody in chat. Please log into your Pico CTF account. And what we need to do is we need to open up our web shell. So let's get started with that. So over on the Pico CTF site, there's going to be a web shell button, which is located just over here. So after you log in, it's going to be located on your right-hand side, and it's going to be labeled web shell. Click on that. And then you're going to need to click on this button right here, which looks like a box with an arrow coming out of it. So click on that, and then your web shell is going to be put into its own browser tab. That's what we want. You're going to need to use your Pico CTF username. So this is my username. Please use your own, and then you're going to have to put in your password. So when you put in your password, you're not going to see any input from the terminal, but that's completely normal. So just type in your password or paste it in, and then hit the enter button, and you should be logged in. So for me, I'm going to paste in my password. I'm just going to right click and select paste, and then hit the enter button, and then I am logged in. Okay, so everybody, if you are logged into your Pico CTF web shell, please type in the chat, I'm in the web shell. Okay, lots of people responding that they're in the web shell. We'll just wait a couple more seconds for some people who might be a little bit, who might need a little more time. Okay. So what we need to do from here is we're going to create a directory to solve the challenge. So this is the web decode challenge. So we're going to need to make a directory called web decode. So does anybody know which command we use in Linux to make a directory? Okay, very quick, very quick. User WW says mkdir. So it's mkdir and then space and then the name of the directory we want to create. So this is going to be web decode. So just mkdir space and then web decode, all one word, then hit enter. And then we need to enter the directory using the cd command. All right. And then when you do the pwd command, which tells you which directory you're in, it should tell you that you're at home and then your username, picoctf, and then web decode. If you're here in this directory in your web shell, please type directory made. Okay, very good. All right, so everybody, once again, the challenge that we're solving is web decode, and the link is over here. I'm putting it in chat right now. Okay, so it says in the description, it says, do you know how to use the web inspector? Additional details will be made after launching your challenge instance. So we're not going to immediately launch our challenge instance, because what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using Python scripts in order to solve the challenge. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning how to use we're going to be using some scripts, and we're going to be inspecting these scripts to see exactly what they're doing. So today we're going to be using some Python to do some work for us. All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to this GitHub page. So this is a GitHub page that has the notes for today's session, and it is located right over here. I want you to click on the link and then navigate down to this section right here. It says scripts for solving the web decode challenge. All right, so the first step over here is the script for downloading the web page. So go down to this section here, scripts for solving the web decode challenge. There's a script for downloading the web page. What I want you to do is I want you to put this in a new tab, so you can right click and open a new tab. And then inside the new tab, you're going to see a script, okay? So over in the script, what I want you to do is I want you to click on copy raw file. I think this should work. If it doesn't work, then we'll find some other way to do this. But click on the copy raw file button over here. And then it should say copied. And then what I want you to do is I want you to go over back to your web shell. And then I want you to create a file using Nano. And let me just see what this file is called one more time. This page is called webpage. This script rather is called webpage_fetch.py. So let's make a file called that. So it's going to be it's going to be nano space webpage_fetch.py. Okay, so nano space webpage_fetch.py, and then hit enter. And that's going to put us in our Nano text editor. From here, what I want you to do is right click and then select paste. So this should paste in all of the text that you copied from this page right here when you pressed on the copy raw file button. So this should paste in all of the code from the file. Okay, so everybody, if you manage to successfully paste in the code, please type in the chat, code is pasted. Okay, and if you need me to repeat one or more of the previous instructions, please let me know, because I want as many people as possible to be able to follow along. Okay. All right. So the first thing that we should note is that at the top of the script over here, there's this note. There's this comment right here, and you can tell that this is a comment because it's between these triple single quotes. So inside of Python, if you do a triple single quote, it becomes a comment, and then if you do another triple single quote, anything that you put inside of here is just going to be a note inside of the code, and it's not going to be executed it's not going to be executed as code. So what it says here inside of this comment is, this script uses the Python request module to make a request to a specific web page and writes its contents to a file on the host machine. So the host machine is the terminal, and the first thing it does as an instruction is it imports the request library. So the request library, otherwise known as a module, is another piece of Python code that is imported into your own Python code. So we do a lot of importing when we work with Python because we like to use code that other people have previously written, and this is a very easy way to make your own code very efficient. Okay, so user D says, I joined late and I'm a little bit lost. What are we doing? Okay, so let me demonstrate for user D who's come late. What we're doing right now is we're solving this challenge right here, web decode, and I'll provide the link to everybody in chat. And we're using some previously written code to solve the challenge. So user D, what I want you to do is I want you to So to everybody, actually everybody, I'm going to save out my file right now. You don't need to do this. Okay, so I just want to demonstrate to user D who's come late what we're doing right now. Okay, so what we're doing is over on the GitHub page, we're going to be importing some code. So this is where you can find the first script that we're going to import, that we're going to be using rather. And so what you need to do on this page is you need to click on this button, which is labeled copy raw file. And then you need to go over to your web terminal. So you need to log into your web terminal on Pico CTF. And then you're going to, so I'm just going to nano into some temp file. So but you would nano into webpage_fetch.py. So, okay, I'm just going to nano into that, and then I'm going to delete everything. So to delete everything, what you can do is do Control K in order to cut the lines from the file. But anyways, now that we have an empty file again, what we want to do is we want to right-click and then select Paste. So right-click, select Paste, and that's going to paste in all the code that we got from this page right here when we selected Copy Raw File. Okay? And then we go, so copy raw file, then go to the web terminal, and inside of nano, we nano webpage_fetch.py, and then paste in this code. So Control right-click, and then select Paste to paste in the code. All right. So from there, let's explain what's happening inside the script. So first, we import the request library, and that means that after we give this instruction, we can use any of the functions or methods from the request library inside of our own code. So we create a couple of different variables. One is called URL, and that's going to be input the desired URL. So we're going to ask the user to provide the URL that they want to download. And then we have another variable called output file, and that's also input. So the input here says, what name do you want to give the output file? So we can save this file as whatever name we want to over here by giving it the user input. And then over here, we're creating a function, and the function is called fetch webpage. So fetch webpage takes two arguments, which is both the URL variable and the output file variable, which are outlined up here. So what it's going to do is so this is what is called a try except block, and it lets Python functions function in a way where if something goes wrong, then it can go wrong in a controlled manner. So you don't need to know a lot about this. You just need to know that this is something that we do to so that if errors occur, it doesn't crash the program, and we try to give the program a graceful way to exit. So another thing that we're talking about here is comments. So this is also a way to put in a comment inside of, so after this hash symbol here, you can put anything after the hash symbol, and that's going to be a comment as well. So this next line, send the GET request to the desired URL. So this is what we're doing inside of the fetch web page function, which gets the web page content. So this variable response is equal to the request library, and then the get function with the URL as the argument. And the next line here says raise an exception if the request was unsuccessful. So if this request doesn't work, then we're going to need to do this response dot raise for status. So response means that this previous variable is going to use a method from the request library, which is raise for status, and that's going to tell us if there was an unsuccessful request. Okay, and then the next part is all about writing the content of the response to a file. So here, write the content of the response to the output file. So this is how we do file creation inside of Python. It's going to be with open, and then we provide some information. Output file is the variable, so whatever name we put in here, and then in write mode, which is this W, and then we have to provide a text encoding. So the encoding in this case is UTF-8. That's a pretty common type of text encoding. Another common encoding you might have heard of is called ASCII. And we're writing this as an alias, which we call file. So basically, this whole operation right here, we're going to call it file. And then on the next line, we're going to do file and then write response.text. So this response that we defined over here, we're going to use this method right here called text, and we're going to write a file using this content right here. Okay, and then we're going to print a little message. The message is web page content successfully recorded in output file. So if you remember, this is an F string, which means that we put the F before the quotes, and that's going to let us use variable names inside of the string. User CT asks, how did you get the file? How did I get which file? You mean this code that we're looking at right now? Okay. User CT says, how did I get this file? I wrote this file. Well, I mean, I didn't write it from scratch. I asked for some. I looked around the web for some help, but I wrote this, and then I put it up on a website, and we're now looking at it. Okay, user P says I don't have the link. Which link do you need, user P? Okay, and the next part over here is except. This is what happens if there's some sort of error when we try to run this script. It says request.exceptions.requestException as E. So we're going to create a variable which is equal to this function right here, and then we're going to print with the F string an error occurred E. So user P, we're looking at this script right here. I will provide you the link to that script. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so the last thing we do inside of this code is we do the function call to the function that we created here, which is called fetch_webpage. That uses the URL and the output file as arguments, and those are defined right here. Okay, so now that we know what the script does, let's try running this, okay? So we're going to save out this file. So it's going to be Control X, save modified buffer, press Y for yes, and then hit enter to save the file. You should see that we have the webpage_fetch.py file in here. Okay, so to run this, what we're going to need is the web page address. So we can get the web page address by clicking on this button right here. So over at the webdcode challenge page, we need to click on the launch instance button. Okay, so after you click on it, you have to wait for a couple seconds, and then user AS says, how did you modify buffer? So user AS, so inside of Nano, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to hit the Control X keyboard shortcut. So it's Control X, and then it's going to ask if you want to save modified buffer, press Y for yes, and then hit enter to confirm. Okay, so over at the challenge page, so after you launch the instance, there's going to be this red button that says restart instance. Don't click on that. What you need to do now is you need to get the web page address. So we're going to right click this link right here and then select copy link address. And then we're going to go back to our web shell, and then we're going to use the script. So in order to use this web page fetch.py script, we're going to have to use Python and then space and then webpage_fetch.py. Press enter, and then it's going to ask you input the desired URL. So we're going to paste in the URL, the address. So right click, select paste, and then hit enter. And then it's going to ask, what name do you want to give the output file? So the output file here, we can call it, we're going to call it index.html. So here, index.html, then hit enter. And then it says web page content successfully recorded in index.html. Okay, so if we do ls, and then we'll see that there is a file called index.html, which we downloaded using the script, webpage_fetch.py. So if you do cat index.html, you should see this stuff right here. So at the bottom, it says bottom bar, copyright, something, something, your name. If you manage to get to this point, please type in the chat, I downloaded and read the file. Okay. Some people have downloaded and read the file. So if you take a look over here, this is what a web page looks like. So it's got a bunch of HTML tags, a head tag, and a bunch of different tags that are between these brackets, these square brackets. I guess you might call them triangle brackets. Anyway, they're brackets. Okay, user CT asks, how did you get the first file? How did I get the first file? So we created the file using Nano. If you're talking about the webpage fetch.py file, we created it using Nano. And if you're talking about this one right here, index.html, we created this by running. So we did Python webpage_fetch.py, and then it said input the desired URL, and we went to the challenge page, and then after we started the instance, there's going to be a link over here that we can copy. So right click, copy link address, and then in the web shell, input the desired URL, we can paste that, right click paste, And then it's going to ask us, what name do you want to give the output file? We're going to say index.html. Okay. So if anybody is having trouble, please let us know what kind of error messages you're getting, and we'll try to help you out. Okay. So now that we've downloaded this, this web page file, what we're going to do is we're going to try to extract all of the links from this page, and we can do that with another script. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to our GitHub again. And the second step is extracting links from the web page. So there's this file right here. So I'm going to put this in a new tab, and I will give you the link. So everybody, this is the link to the next script we're going to use. So this one is for extractlinks.py. Okay, so this is actually the most complicated script that we're going to be dealing with today, but we'll go through it slowly and we'll try to explain what's going on inside of the script. Okay, so once you arrive on this page, one more time, we're going to click on this button right here, which is labeled Copy Raw File. So click on the Copy Raw File button, and then go over to the web shell, and we're going to do nano one more time. So nano space extract_links.py. So we're going to create this file using the nano text editor. So after we hit enter, then we're inside of the nano text editor. We're just going to paste in the code. So it's going to be right click, paste. And then we have a bunch of code over here, okay? So everybody, if you manage to paste in the code successfully, please let us know by saying code pasted, smiley face. Okay, we see some people have their code pasted. Good to see, good to see. Okay, so the comment at the top tells us what the script is all about. And it says this script goes through a web page file and extracts any links from it, and then prints out the names of the links. Okay, so we're using a couple of different imports over here. So we're using our beautiful soup module, which is used to parse web page content. So this has some different functions for dealing with coding web page content, and this one as well, the URL lib.parse. This is another library that is used to deal with web pages. And the last module that we're importing is the sys module, which is used for command line arguments. And so these are just some different tools that we're going to import into our code in order to get the job done. So the first thing that we do is we create a base URL variable, which is equal to input. And it says, please input the base URL of the website, which is basically the address that we copied from the challenge. So we're going to provide that as a variable. And then we're going to create this function right here, which is called extract links. And extract links takes a single argument, which is the file path. And the file path is basically the file that we're going to be inspecting and getting the links from. So once again, this is a try except block right here. So it's going to try to do this thing, and if it isn't able to do it, it's going to try to error out without crashing the program. So the first thing we do is we read the content of the HTML file. So this line right here, with open file path read encoding UTF-8 as file, we're going to create a variable called content, which is equal to this method right here, file read this thing, okay? And then the next line is going to, I misspelled this. So this is supposed to be parse the HTML content using the beautiful soup library. So soup is equal to beautiful soup. So the soup variable is beautiful soup, and then this is a function which we're going to use to basically format the HTML with the content variable and with this instruction right here, which is html.parser. Okay, and the next step is going to find all the anchor tags. So these are A tags, which are a part of HTML. So this new variable called links is going to be equal to this soup object, and then it's going to run this method, which is called find all, and A indicating A tags. So the next thing is going to be extracting the links, and the links are also called href inside of HTML. So this is going to be extracted links is a variable which is equal to this list right here. This list is going to be equal to URL join, which is a function, and it's going to. So sometimes I like to just press the believe button and say that this does what it's supposed to do, and what it's doing is it's getting all the links. So I'm not familiar with all of the functions inside of these libraries, but I believe that this is what it does. And the next thing is much easier: print the extracted links. So if extracted links in this case means if extracted links is not empty, then it's going to print the extracted links, and then we're going to do a for loop for link in extracted links, print the link. Otherwise, which is the else portion right here, print no links found in this file. So, and then we have a couple of exception handlers. So except file not found error. So this is what happens if we try to provide a file that does not exist. It says file not found, and except exception as E. So if there's some other exception that happens, then we're going to print an error occurred and then print the error. The last part of the script is if name equals main. So this is another method we can use of ensuring that we're going to run a specific function. And in this case, we're first going to check if the file path was provided. So if the length of the arguments that we provide in the command is not 2, then it's going to print out the usage. It's going to say we're supposed to do it Python extracted links.py and then path to HTML file. So this is what we're going to print if we don't give it a file name, or else it's going to run these steps right here. So get file path from command line argument, which is file path equals system argument 1, which is the second item when we type in our two arguments, and then it's going to run the extract links with the file path. So it's going to run this function. Okay, so let's save out the file. So Control X to save the file. So save modified buffer, press Y, and then press Enter. So now we should have 3 files in here. So we should have extractlinks.py, index.html, and then webpage_fetch.py. Okay? So everybody, if you're on the same page, please type in the chat, I have 3 files. Okay, great. Okay. So in order to use the extract links.py script, what we're going to need we're going to need the address. So we're going to go back to our challenge over here. And user CT asks, how did you get index.html? We got index.html by using the web page fetch script. So everybody, over on your challenge page, we're going to need to copy the link again. So over at the link, right click and select copy link address, and then go to your web shell. So user CT, we got the index.html file by running Python webpage_fetch.py. So after we run that, it's going to ask input the desired URL, and then we paste in the URL. And then it's going to ask, what name do you want to give the output file? We're going to say index.html. Okay? So that's how we get the index.html file. So next we're going to use the extract_links.py script. So it's going to be Python space extract_links.py. And we need to supply the index.html as the file that we want to extract the links from. So it's going to be Python space extract_links.py space index.html. So hit enter, and then it's going to ask, please input the base URL of the website. So what we need to do is right click and then paste in the web page, and then hit enter. And then it's going to tell you the extracted links. So it got index.html, index.html, about.html, and contact.html. So we can ignore these because we already have this. So what we need to do is we need to fetch these ones right here. So what we can do is just highlight this. So highlight the whole line, about.html, and we can copy it. Oh no. And we can, okay. Okay, so that brings us to, okay, so just highlight it. Just highlight this, and then that should copy it by, it should copy it by default. And then we're going to run web page fetch on this as well. So we're going to do webpage_fetch.py, and then space, and then paste in. User WW says, if you had more of the spaces, it won't go to the link. Oh, okay. That's very handy. But thank you for that. Okay, so, and then we're going to, so web page underscore, oh, no, we need to do Python. So Python space web page fetch.py. Okay, so just run that. And then it's going to say input the desired URL. This is where we paste in this line right here. So we're going to right click, select paste, and then hit enter. And then it's going to ask, what name do you want to give the output file? We're going to give it the name about.html. Okay, and it should say web page content successfully recorded in about.html. If we do ls, we should have 4 files now. So about.html, extractlinks.py, index.html, and webpagefetch.py. So there's one last page we need to download, and it's this one right here, the contact.html. So we can highlight all that, and then we can copy it, and then we can run web page fetch. So Python webpage_fetch, and it's going to ask us for the desired URL, right-click, paste, and then hit enter. And then it's going to ask, what name do you want to give the output file? It's going to be contact.html, contact.html. Okay, and it's going to say, web page content successfully recorded in contact.html. So when we do ls, we should have 5 files. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you have the 5 files, please type in the chat 5 files for fun. 5 files for fun. If you have any questions about how we did any of the previous steps, please let us know in the chat. User D said, I received an error message and got stuck. Okay, so User D, if you could give us the what the error message says, then we could probably better try to help you out there. Okay. All right. So we have our files now. We've got about.html, contact.html, and index.html. Huh. Okay. So user D has an error over here. Okay. So user D, what I want you to do, and what command did you use to cause this error? Were you using the web page fetch.py script? Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to go over to Pico CTF to the challenge page, and I want you to hit the restart instance button. So just hit the red button, and that's going to give you a different web page. So after that, I want you to go back to the link and then right-click, copy link address, and I want you to retry that, okay? So you were trying to download the about.html, right? Okay, so you would do Python, oh, okay. So you would try to do the, so do this Python extract _ links.py, and then it's going to ask you input the base URL of the website. I want you to right click and paste in that, and then hit enter. Okay. So when you do Python extract links.py, you have to give the index.html. So Python space extract links.py space index.html. Hit enter. It's going to ask you to put in the base URL of the website and then paste it in here. Hit enter. And then these are the new links that you're going to use to download, okay? So that's going to be Python webpage fetch.py, and then hit enter. And you're going to try to get this one. So highlight this, and then copy it, paste it in, hit enter. What name do you want to give the output file? That's going to be about.html. And then you should have the content successfully recorded over here. Okay? So repeat that for the contact page, and then you should be okay. All right, so for everybody else, we're going to be using one more script to complete the challenge, okay? So over in the GitHub, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be searching for base64 encoded strings. So this next script is going to search a file for base64 encoded strings and then decode them. So this link over here, I'm going to put it in the new tab, and then I'm going to provide this link to everybody. So everybody, you can find the link over here. So over on the GitHub page, all you need to do is click on this, copy raw file. Just click that and then go over to your web shell. And in the web shell, we're going to call this, we're going to use nano space, and we're going to call this b64 underscore search.py. So nano b64 underscore search.py. And then after we're in nano, we're going to paste in our code. So right click paste. So I think I might have lied. This is the most complicated. This is the most complicated script that we're using today. Okay. So what does it do? So this script searches inside of the file and extracts potential base64 encoded strings that are 12 characters in length or longer. If any potential base64 strings are found, the script will print out the decoded version of these strings. So remember that base64 is a type of encoding. It turns one type of information into another type of information. And let me look up base64 string examples. So base64, I'm not getting good results. Okay, so let's make this nice and big. So we can, using base64, we can turn one type of information into an encoded type of information. So this is a sentence. Many hands make light work, but when we encode it using base64, it becomes this right here. So what we need to understand about base64 is that it's very commonly found inside of like CTF exercises. So inside of CTF exercises, we can search for base64 encoded strings and we can try to decode them because sometimes they can hide the flag. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a script to try to look inside these files for these base64 encoded strings, and then we're going to decode them automatically. Okay, so we're going to do it by using this script. So this script right here. So if you manage to successfully paste in the script in your nano editor, please type in the chat code pasted for the last time. Okay, so in this case, we're importing 3 libraries one more time. So the first library that we're importing is the base64 library. So that's going to let us encode and decode using base64. The second library is the RE library, and that's going to let us do regular expressions. So this is looking for different patterns. So we're going to be able to look for different patterns using the RE library. And the sys library is used to do command line stuff. So we can determine if we supplied enough command line arguments when we run this file, when we run this script using this this module right here. Okay. So the first thing we do is we're going to create a function which is called find underscore base64 underscore strings. And we're going to do this with the file path. So basically the file path is the file that we specify. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to read the content of the file. So the first thing it does, it's going to open up the file that we supply. So it's going to open that up in read mode using the UTF-8 encoding, and that's going to be it's going to be turned into the file variable, and then we're going to create another variable called content, which is file with the read method. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to define a regular expression pattern to find strings inside of single or double quotes. So the next few lines are going to deal with regular expressions. So what you need to know about regular expressions is that it's basically it's how programs look for patterns inside of text. So these next two regular patterns over here are going to look for stuff that's inside of quotes, so single and double quotes. And the next pattern over here is going to look for the character set that makes up base 64, and that's basically the letters, the capital letters A to Z, the lowercase letters A to Z, the numbers 0 to 9, the plus symbol, the slash, and the equal symbol. So these are the symbols that make up the base 64 strings. So the next line is going to find all quoted strings in the content, which is this variable is equal to this function right here. So from the quote pattern variable, we're going to find all content, okay? And then find all potential base 64 strings. This is basically a number of steps that is used to create the base 64 strings and put them into a list. So we've got our valid base 64 strings list, which is empty, but if there is a valid code, base 64 code, that is found inside of these strings, then we're going to add it to the valid base 64 strings list. So the next step is going to be a loop. So for base 64 strings in all strings, so all strings is going to be, there's a variable called all strings. So for the base 64 strings, for each one of them, we're going to test to see if the base 64 strings are valid, if they're valid base 64. So base 64 string should be a multiple of 4 in length. So we're going to test if the length of the base 64 string modulo by 4 is equal to 0, and the length is greater than 11, then we're going to basically take the bytes of that string, and then we're going to turn them into readable strings using UTF-8. And then we're going to add them to the list of valid base 64 strings. But if they don't qualify, then we're just going to run the loop again on the next cycle. So that's going to run a bunch of times. And then we're going to print the valid base 64 strings and their decoded values. So let me back up here. So if there are valid base 64 strings, we're going to print valid base 64 strings found, and then we're going to print out the original and the decoded version in this list right here, valid base 64 strings, print original, and then the value of original, and then decoded, and the value of decoded. Otherwise, we're going to print no valid base 64 strings found in the file, and we're going to do an exception if you didn't provide a valid file not found error. And if there are other exceptions, we're going to run them in error occurred E. Lastly, we're going to, if everything is okay, name equals main, we're going to check if the file path was provided as an argument. So we need to make sure that you provide a file name, otherwise it's going to print this message. If everything is okay, then you're going to get the file path from the command line argument. File path is equal to the second thing that you provide in the arguments, and then it's going to run the function. Find base 64 strings with the file path. Okay, so that was very long. If you want to understand any part of this code, so for example, you don't know what's exactly happening inside of this part of code, you can highlight it and copy it, and then you can ask ChatGPT. So you can go over to ChatGPT. Where are we? Over here. And then you can ask the question, what does this Python code do? And then paste in the code. And then ChatGPT will try to give you an explanation of what's going on inside of this code. So this works for any piece of Python code. If you have any questions about any Python code, you can copy and paste the code into ChatGPT and ask for an explanation, and it's going to try its best to explain what's going on. Okay, but let's solve this challenge now. Okay, so we're going to save out this file. So it's Control X, save modified buffer Y, and then file name to write. Press Enter. Okay. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Okay, so clear. We're going to run this file, Python b64 search.py, and then we're going to do space, and then we're going to run this on index.html. So Python space b64 underscore search.py space index.html. We're going to run this, and it says no valid base64 strings found in this file. Okay, so we're going to run it on the next file. So it's not going to be index.html, it's going to be about.html. Okay, Python base64 b64 underscore search.py about.html. Hit the enter button. And then it says valid base64 strings found. And it gives the original string right here, and then it gives the decoded string right here. So the flag was actually base64 encoded, but we used the script to decode it. So this is the flag right here. So just copy it, and then go over to the challenge. And in the challenge description, paste in the flag over at the bottom of the page and click on Submit Flag. Okay, and then we're finished. All right, so everybody, if you managed to use the Python scripts to get the flag, please type in the chat, Python solved it for me. Happy face. And if you had any troubles with any of the steps, please, I'll try to help you out after the session is over. The session is going to end in just a little bit, but first of all, so this is the last Python session that we're doing for HackerFrogs. The next session that we're doing is going to be covering a new topic, and the new topic is going to be web app hacking. So web app hacking basically means doing hacking on web apps, and by web apps we mean websites. So it's website hacking, and I want to tell you right now that any skills that you learn in the web app hacking course, please do not use them to hack just anybody's website, because that would be a bad thing to do. Okay. All right. So, but before we go, what we're going to do is we're going to recommend some Python learning resources. So if you want to learn more Python, and we just in our short little time learning Python, we just scratched the surface on how to code using Python. But I've got this page right here on the HackerFrogs Reddit, and you can find it at this link right here. So this has some links that go to a bunch of different free websites that you can use to learn Python. I highly recommend this one right here, which is called Skills for All. So this is a Python course that is sponsored by Cisco, and Cisco is one of the biggest IT companies in the United States. So they sponsored this course right here, and you can also access it directly. So the first part, there are two parts to this, but you can access it directly by going to this link that I just put in the chat. So if you want to learn more Python, and who doesn't want to learn more Python, you can use that course. There's also this website right here that has a challenge section where students can work through and test their skills. So let me demonstrate really quickly. That's weird. Okay, so maybe don't visit that website. Hold on. Okay, but anyways, if you're interested in learning more Python, definitely go to the Skills for All website, and you can access more Python courses over there. Okay. All right. So, like I said, the next course is going to be on web app hacking, and we're going to be learning a lot about how to interact with websites and how to do security testing on them. So yeah, please look forward to that. If you have any questions or if you want any help with the exercise that we did today, go ahead and stay behind after the session is over and type in chat and let us know that you need help. But otherwise, there's one more challenge that we could have done today. So that's over at this link right here. So what I want you to try is try out this password crack 4 challenge right here. And so at the GitHub page, there's an extra credit length challenge, and it says PW crack 4. I want you to try, if you want some extra practice, I want you to try solving this challenge on your own. So first of all, try to solve it without looking at the code over here. But if you can't solve it on your own without the code, try using the code over here and try solving this challenge yourself, okay? But all right. Yeah, but otherwise, if you don't have any questions, if you don't need me to help you out, then feel free to leave the call, and we're going to be back on Wednesday, okay? I hope to see you there. We're going to be learning web app hacking, and yeah, have yourselves a great evening, and we'll see you next time. But if there's anybody who needs help, please let me know in the chat. And user D, no problem. I'm here to help anybody and to help everybody out of a bind if I can. I definitely want everybody to learn. And if you're stuck, then you're not having a good time, and I want you to not be stuck. Okay, so we still have in the chat. Oh, I'm going to stop the